Hey, everybody.
Hi, friends. From Salt Lake City, Utah.
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
The podcast.
I'm Frank.
I'm Rachel.
And coming up on the show today, we're going to be talking about religious civil war. It's coming down the pike, or so they want it to. But we got it. That's again on the second half. First, we should acknowledge no Dan this week.
No.
As you guys have probably already figured out, we have
Just
Rachel.
me.
Thank you, Rachel, for
You're
being
welcome.
here.
Always fun.
Yeah, it's good. It's always good having you. It's always a good, fun conversation. And Dan will be back next week. And yeah, so let's get started. I'm gonna start us off. Actually, I think.
Okay.
This is coming to us from the Christian Post. I'm only saying that because they have a certain take on the topic that I think is important. It's important to understand that this is a Christian news source, and they've sort of presented the story in a certain way. I'm going to try to filter all that crap out, but some of it might sneak in unexpectedly. It has to do with a recent, I guess, sermon by Pastor Jack Hibbs, who has the only reason that this is relevant is because his strong connections to Speaker of the House Mike Johnson. No kidding. Yeah, he's been invited to pray at do an opening prayer for Congress and all this kind of stuff. Now, anyway, he has a message about masculinity in this country, and how men are just in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
Rachel.
Yes.
Like, men are
Historically, they have not fared well.
it's so many problems for men right now.
Yeah.
And so he's pushing back on this whole toxic masculinity thing. And in fact, the article starts with the line, despite society labeling masculinity toxic, in what many call a war on men, Jack Hibbs told his congregation that what Christian men need to reflect, especially for their sons, is biblical masculinity.
It's like murder and stuff. Like incest and such.
Yeah. So,
Cool. Cool.
Toxic masculinity.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. Which I really want to address that. Toxic masculinity. It's a violent masculinity.
Yeah.
Right. It's aggressive men who are suffering from toxic masculinity usually have a hard time with expressing emotions. There's excessive competitiveness, homophobia, low empathy. These are all associated with toxic masculinity. And it's really damaging, not just for the people around a toxic male, but also for the guy himself, right? He is disconnected from his own emotions and so forth and so on. So
yeah,
it's a really ugly thing, and lest we sort of lose the point here, right? They're saying, oh no, like they do not see masculinity in any form essentially as toxic. And let's kind of go through that. Okay. They say he says there's a war on men, adding that one of the biggest battles raging in our culture involves Satan directly attacking men. A lie that is advancing today against men is something of this nature. Men cannot be strong because that's rude, ugly, and toxic.
It's rude
to be strong. It's ugly to be strong, and it's toxic to be strong.
That's not what toxic masculinity is.
It's not at all, right? But we'll get to that. If you're the man, you can't be the leader anymore. Men can't lead.
Yeah, poor guys.
Saying, right? Men are not allowed to be strong. Men are not allowed to be the leader, and men cannot have an opinion anymore.
Right.
Not allowed.
Right.
Whatever we say, it's the wrong thing.
Yes.
It's sexist. It's chauvinistic. It's racist.
And we women are sick of it, and we're not letting you talk anymore. No more.
So he's so I love the idea of like in his head, he's just out being a man.
Yeah.
Right. But like, but people are like, no, you're being sexist.
Yeah.
You're being racist. Yeah. Right. And he's like, no, I'm just being a man.
This is how men talk.
Yeah.
This is how men think.
Okay. So like he's literally calling for Christian men who may not actually even be toxic at this point to adopt toxic masculinity.
Ramp it up, guys.
Yeah. You're not being masculine enough. Apparently during the sermon he played a PragerU video. You're familiar? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's this gross, like really Christian, conservative, education sort of website, right? And they put these videos out that so there's like this conservative commentator by the name of Allie Beth Stuckey, and she says that to combat toxic male traits, men should be more masculine, not less. When you try to make men more like women, you don't get less toxic masculinity, you get more. Which I don't understand. Like, first of all, the premise, right? Yeah. Which is nobody's trying to make men more like women. Right. But then just the idea, if you just put your head around that concept, okay, so they're trying to make men more like women. You don't get less toxic masculinity, you get more? It just doesn't work. It just doesn't make any sense. And she says, why? Because bad men don't become good when they stop being men.
They're just bad women now.
Now they're just bad women.
Bad women like men.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, she makes no sense.
Aggression, violence, and unbridled ambition, this is her, can't be eliminated from the male psyche. They can only be harnessed. And when they are harnessed, they are tools for good, not harm. So I would like to rephrase that and say, rape culture can't be eliminated from the male psyche. It can only be harnessed.
You give into it.
Yeah.
Lean into that
shit. Lean into all
rape.
of this.
Do that. Yeah. Just keep it up.
Yeah, great, cool. Let's see. She goes on. The same masculine traits that bring destruction also defeat tyranny. The traits that foster greed also build economies. And the traits that drive men to make foolish mistakes or take foolish risks also drive men to make or take heroic risks.
I hate this woman.
I could. There's so much more. I'll finish with this. The growing problem in today's society isn't that men are too masculine. It's that they're not masculine enough. When men embrace their masculinity in a way that is healthy and productive, they're leaders, warriors, and heroes. Now, I will say, I kind of want to diverge just a little bit and pull in something that I was kind of hearing and reading about the last couple weeks, which is this strange gender divide in political views. Okay. That's being looked at in Gen Z.
Okay.
Apparently, a lot of young guys, Gen Zers, male Gen Zers, are trending conservative.
Okay.
And while the girls are trending liberal. And there's this messaging, I think is working.
Yeah.
It's sticking with these young men. Yeah. Right. And that's going to be something to watch.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm a little concerned that, because I think what's happened ultimately is in all of the discussion about Me Too and feminism in general, there has been a vacuum in talking about men. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right. Like, and saying, well, we're trying to leave toxic masculinity behind. We're trying to evolve socially to be more, open and inclusive and not sexist and having a place that for women in our society that's like, equal pay and
Yeah.
just the whole bit, right? And so this is what we're working toward. And somehow along the way, we've forgotten to talk about the guys.
Okay.
In a way.
Yeah.
Right. And we have, but I think I think older men going through this sort of discussion, this big social discussion about these issues, have had sort of better tools to navigate it. And so this younger generation, they're like, I think they're just primed for this kind of sick messaging because there's been a vacuum in the discussion.
I think it has to like self-correct though, because if women are getting more liberal in their beliefs and thoughts, like the men are going to have to like meet them somewhere in the middle.
Like if they want to get any?
Yes. Like women are just going to be like, fuck you, we don't need you. To some extent. But or like gross, you're conservative gross.
Or it's going to be like that what was that show back in the Home Improvement where like
yeah,
you got
Tim the Toolman Taylor.
Tim the Toolman. And he's dumb and like
blah, blah,
blah.
Classic sitcom where doofy dad.
But the wife, the mom, she's like level-headed and smart and
but she comes across as a nag.
Was that how the show was set up?
All those sitcoms are just the doofy husband and then the really smart, capable woman with ideas and opinions and she's getting stuff done, but she's naggy.
I never saw her as a nag. I saw her as just this strong woman.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't bothered. Like, now that's interesting because maybe a lot of people were watching it and they saw a nag. And all she was doing was being
she was just not
woman.
Amused by her stupid husband.
Yeah.
Where everyone else was amused by him.
All right. Well, I think I've beaten this one to death. It's shocking. It's horrible. But this is again, somebody who is really closely connected to Mike Johnson. And it's concerning.
Yeah.
Concerning. We could honestly start dedicating full episodes of this show to Mike Johnson's
friends.
The terrifying scenario of Mike Johnson. In fact, I have another story that's a Mike Johnson story.
Okay. So. All right. Well, I've got a story. It's from New South Wales, which is Australia.
Yeah.
Look at me. So this girl, she's 16 years old, had a really aggressive form of bone cancer and immediately started chemotherapy. And when you're doing chemotherapy, they send you in for scans like all the time, to see how it's progressing. So she goes in for a scan after a lot of courses of treatment and there's no visible sign of her cancer. So she's like, oh, great. Okay, great. Like God healed me. And so the doctor was like, well, not quite.
Right.
Like the drugs did it too. They worked. And if you stop your course of treatments now, there's 100% chance this is going to come back and it might be like really resistant to the treatment.
Yeah.
So you have to follow through with this treatment. And she's like, nope, I'm good. God did it. And if he wants the cancer to come back, then it will come back. And if he doesn't, then it won't. So
oh my God.
They had to get a court, like a judge to weigh in on it and decide if she could be forced to
holy cow
continue her treatment.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, you said she's 16. 16,
and her parents are like, yeah, if she thinks like, yeah, God did it. So
okay.
They were okay with her choice.
Okay. I was wondering how she could be making this decision for herself.
I also love, I just thought of this, like her parents are like so supportive of her bodily autonomy. And
yeah, I wonder how that would go if she was
right, like
needing an abortion.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Anyway, but yeah, so she's like, I know this sounds like super weird, that I don't want to get treatment, but it's just how God is. And the judge the judge, like from his quotes, it sounds like he was trying to be really respectful of her beliefs. And, you know, he's like, well, I mean, she truly does believe in her heart that this is, that God did this for her, and that if she's going to go live with Jesus at the end, then that's what she wants, and like out of all of this.
Right.
So, but he did force her to continue the treatment.
Wow.
And this story is so recent that she hasn't restarted the treatment yet.
Oh, wow.
So, like, I guess she's going
they
in for
fleeing
another
the country?
scan
Oh, wow.
soon. Like they said, the end of February. So, and if that scan shows a return of any like cancer cells or growth, then she'll be forced to continue on her treatment.
Oh, Jesus. I just love this mentality that, like, I don't know how people, like how, why not just say that God is working through the cancer treatment?
God made this cancer drug.
God is in this.
God gave us this knowledge to make cancer go away.
Right. Why not be grateful for that?
Yeah.
For these God inspired. I mean, you could tell yourself whatever story you wanted to. God inspired the scientists to come up with this thing, or just the Holy Ghost is in this juice, right?
Sure.
Whatever it is, right? Like, fine, cool.
I know.
Why does it have to just be there?
It's one or the other.
Yeah.
It's either God or it's science.
Well, God bless Australia for like actually forcing somebody to, because I don't think the U.S. would intervene.
I don't think so either.
I don't think anybody would have. It would have been like kind of sad. Oh, well, okay. I guess this shit family's making this decision.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I promised another Mike Johnson story, so let's just get it out of the way.
Get him out of here.
Are you familiar, Rachel, with the National Prayer Breakfast?
Yes.
It's this, for those of you out there who are not, it's this long-standing Washington, D.C. tradition. It's a sort of bipartisan. It's all faiths are invited. You know, it's sort of, oh yeah, you know, come on, let's have this little. Just all you have to do is believe in God, right? And all these politicians get together and they do the prayer breakfast.
Do like the satanic people show up?
No, of course not.
Okay.
Yeah, but the president shows up, right? And he offered a very sort of very basic, simple little prayer, I guess, that America should remember its character of honesty, decency, dignity, and respect, and find strength and togetherness. Very, very Joe Biden. That makes sense. I object to this tradition, obviously, but if you're doing it, let it be sort of centrist and bipartisan, and everybody's invited.
Yeah.
Whatever, right? Still shouldn't happen, whatever. Well, the whole thing just isn't good enough for Mike Johnson. That's, again, House Speaker Mike Johnson. And so he gathered a group at the Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C.
Ew.
You're not familiar with the Museum of the Bible?
Ew. Of all the museums to go to in D.C., people are stopping into this.
Yeah, it's the Hobby Lobby people.
Yeah,
right?
ew.
They basically
did it?
bought
Ew.
and paid for by Hobby Lobby, that family, the Greens.
I love that store, though.
No.
I don't shop there.
Okay, good. Because you'd be supporting the Museum of the Bible. No, so when it opened, this is the big famous thing about the Museum of the Bible is that they were going around just gobbling up antiquities at a rate that, like,
really?
Yeah, and like there was just this like everybody, all the antiquity dealers in the Middle East and
so this is
throughout
a cool
the region,
museum.
We'll get to that.
Oh.
They heard about this, like all this money coming in, but they're looking for like Bible stuff, and they're like, well, I don't really have Bible stuff, but I can make Bible stuff.
Stop. Oh.
So after they were like opening the Bible museum,
Amazing.
They were like finding out that like it was a huge percentage of the stuff. It was actually just forgeries and faked.
That's amazing
stuff. Yeah.
I love it.
So pretty amazing. So that's where Mike Johnson decided to convene about 24 members of Congress, and a bunch of Christian nationalist pastors and whatnot. to have their alternative to this nice ecumenical national prayer breakfast. And they had the National Gathering for Prayer and Repentance, which, you know, they had some real choice people.
It was held simultaneously?
The same week.
The same week, okay.
Same week. So it's clear what they're responding to. I don't think it was like both at, on Thursday at 8 a.m. or whatever, right? Like but they were close enough that everybody knew what was going on. So anyway, the event, instead of calling for strength and togetherness and dignity and respect and honesty and decency, they were pointing out the sinful nature of American culture, in particular the rise of LGBTQ freedoms, the environmental movement, and of course abortion.
The environmental movement?
Yeah, of course. They hate environmentalism. And it's
but
clearly,
it's like not religious in any way.
It shouldn't be.
No.
But they've turned it into one, right?
Yeah.
So amongst the prayers that were offered, I could get into like who all these people were. It's more important the sentiment. So I'm just going to read some quotes and let's see. One person prayed for the 100,000 LGBTQ Americans to be saved and transformed by the power of God. Another one.
Well, at least he didn't call for like murdering them.
No, he just wants them to go through conversion therapy
and stop being
so gay out there. And let's see. Somebody else chimed in about demons and false gods. Johnson, he kept it pretty simple, didn't go down any extremist roads because he knows people are gonna call him out.
They'll read between the lines too of what he has to say. They'll know.
I guess he just prayed for Solomonic wisdom to execute.
What the fuck is that?
Like King Solomon. Like
Solomonic wisdom?
Solomonic wisdom to execute God's will.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, you're right. Like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
But, But he said it. And then Tony Perkins, worth calling this name out because he's the Focus on the Family douchebag. And he had a whole lot to say. I guess he was like, no, this was a prayer. He said, "We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age. We must battle in the heavenlies." Because the sexual perversion and confusion that has gripped our nation and our children, that's not a political agenda. That is a demonic attack. He also pointed to the abortion and environmental movements, for placing the planet above people and as rooted in the spiritual attacks on mankind. And then let's see.
Like, why can't you do both? Why can't you protect the earth?
Can't you be a good steward, like God ordered you to?
Why is it like you think the planet's important? That's not good.
Because I think a lot of these people, I think a lot of them do believe their own bullshit at this point. But I think a lot of this got started because it was a wedge. It was something that they could run as a wedge issue. And, well, if that's what the liberals are for, we're against it. Right.
That's all that matters.
And now I think whoever started that, now everybody just believes it. They actually legitimately believe this crap. Right. Whereas I think it was probably somebody with craven political instincts to get the whole thing started. But anyway, so, okay. I don't know how much more. Oh, it started with a guy blowing not one shofar, but two. You know, the ram's horns. They're
oh.
So simultaneously,
ceremonial.
He had two up to his puckered lips, and he's just like.
Wow, that's biblical masculinity.
So, this
guy's embracing.
He's so masculine.
Was he like shirtless with a loincloth as he did it?
I don't know. That sounds nice. That sounds.
You're showing up to the prayer breakfast.
Wait. What do you guys believe? There's a shirtless man over there
Bring out
blowing
the
two
hotties.
shofars. Sign me up.
Oh, geez. Okay. Is it me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to go back to kind of what we just talked about, the climate.
Oh, nice.
The planet, rather.
Uh-huh.
So the Inflation Reduction Act that was passed last year by Congress does a lot of good things.
Does a lot of great things, yeah.
One of the things it does is gives tax credits for like solar panels and electric vehicles.
Yeah.
So if you don't pay taxes anyway, as religions don't, as nonprofits, if you don't pay taxes, then you don't like get a tax incentive. Why would you get solar panels? Why would you install electric vehicle stuff?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Well, the Inflation Reduction Act will just like mail you a check. If you're already tax exempt, then they basically treat it as it's a direct payment.
Okay, so wait. Okay. So you're saying there's these churches out there that want to have solar panels.
Yeah.
But there's been this sort of hang up.
Because like what's in it for them?
Aside from saving the planet and doing the right thing and all that kind of crap.
Aside from that.
And the aside from the fact that they could probably run a capital campaign with their members. Hey, let's go solar.
Yep.
Right. And they could do that stuff.
Like we're doing responsible stuff in our community.
Yeah.
They could do that.
They could.
But no, they didn't. None of them did. So now a lot of churches are like, yeah, sign me up for these solar panels because they get a direct payout from the IRS. The IRS will send them direct payment.
No.
Yes.
No.
30% of the cost of installation or of the solar panel system or whatever.
Okay.
You can just get money back.
A rebate.
It's a rebate.
Jesus.
So it's not just like a tax credit anymore.
Oh,
Which I thought, well, that's at first I thought this is good because like churches with solar panels in a neighborhood is a good thing. But this money is coming from somewhere. Like, guess what? You and me, the taxpayers, are paying the churches.
And guess who isn't paying taxes?
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
So now I'm pissed that the churches are trying to save the planet because...
Oh, it's a conundrum.
It's a conundrum.
Oh, that's a sticky one,
I know,
isn't it? Because you want them to.
I want them to. And there was this article has like, it says studies show that if non-residential buildings in a community put solar panels up, that the number of homes in the community with solar panels goes up.
Oh, wow.
Like it produces interest in it. And
so churches, schools,
governmental
anything.
buildings, whatever.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like, I kind of support this, but I'm also pissed that once again, our tax dollars are being given to religions.
They don't even pay property tax in most. I don't know if any. I don't know. Maybe there is some jurisdiction somewhere that's like, we're charging you property tax, but I don't think that. I know that doesn't happen here.
No, that's not a thing in Utah.
And I'm fairly confident that it's not a thing elsewhere in the United States. And it's just like, so you bring in all this money and you don't pay taxes on it. You can put your pastor up in a rectory in like a church-owned house, and that he doesn't have to pay taxes. He doesn't pay for it, and he doesn't pay taxes for the benefit of like, normally if your employer is giving you like these really cushy benefits, like you're taxed on it. Yeah. Right. They're not taxed for their housing, right? As a benefit. And so forth and so on. And they have all these like special pastor related tax deductions, right? Like I think they can write off their robes and shit.
Okay.
And stuff like that. I mean, I guess it's their job.
Yeah.
If you look at it that way, whatever. But there's like lots of benefits left and right for churches. One of which downtown has built up a tidy nest egg because of all these benefits. And Mormon Church, $150 billion for those of you who may not got that. But like, Yeah, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
God, I want to save the planet, but I don't
I know.
want to give them money.
I don't want them to have any more money. Fuck them.
All right. Well, oh golly. Here's a fun one here in Utah.
Okay.
Oh God. So, you know these whole like drag queen story hours. You've heard of these, right?
Yeah.
It just has certain people just in a dither. They just can't handle the drag thing. In particular, one Mr. Representative Colin Jack here in Utah. This is a state legislator, Republican from St. George.
Mm-hmm.
St. George is down in southern Utah, everybody. Not a huge community, very conservative.
Mm-hmm. Pretty wealthy.
Wealthy, yeah. A lot of people have like vacation, like condos and homes down there because it's theoretically warmer in the winter down there.
Yeah.
And so last year, I think it was, or maybe it was 2 years ago. Do you remember that there was like this big drag show in a park down in St. George?
Yeah.
And there was like a big hubbub and like the city council tried to stop it.
Right.
But then ultimately, like legally, the people throwing the drag show had done everything right.
Yeah.
And so they couldn't stop it. And it just pissed people off. Well, let's put this in context. Colin Jack is from St. George and he's pissed about drag. And so he has this bill that just passed through committee on party lines. And doesn't seem to be much that's going to be stopping it. He wants to expand what lewdness is in the legal definition, right? And he wants to have lewdness around kids an extra special crime. Let's see, this would be, so he during the House Law Enforcement and Criminal Justice Committee meeting, which he's a committee member, he described images that he said constituents had sent him over the past year. One, he said, was of a shirtless person wearing sequined pants near a child with a microphone sticking out of the zipper. In another photo,
That's so stupid.
there was a picture of a boy dressed as a girl giving lap dances in a coffee shop.
Oh no.
Oh my God. First of all, he's not showing these pictures. He's telling people about the pictures. So who knows what liberties he's taken with his description of them and which details he's sort of mixed.
Right.
To make the story nicer, I wouldn't put it past someone. But I believe that crazed out constituents of his would be sending him these photos. Anyway, lewdness involving a child amendments, or HB 424, would add several instances in which someone could be charged for lewdness. If done with the intent to cause affront or alarm to the child, or with the intent to arouse or gratify the sexual desire of the actor or the child.
Oh my God.
Instances include simulating masturbation or intercourse, displaying prosthetic male genitals, or engaging in erotic touching of a nude breast, regardless of, quote, how the breast was developed or created.
Oh my God. Oh. These guys think way too much about
These guys
things that are not a problem.
Total pervs, right? Like they think about things that are not a problem, and then they let their minds, they let their pervy little minds go nuts about, well,
these unnatural breasts.
What would it be like to touch a breast that was developed or created in an unnatural way?
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Equality Utah is on. They're on it. They're concerned. And this is a quote from them. Let's see. We're concerned that an overzealous prosecutor or law enforcement agent could use this law as a means to target protected speech and venues, such as the pride parades that happen across the state.
Yeah.
And so we urge you to take a closer look at the language.
Yeah,
That's what they're
the
saying.
language is super vague.
Yeah.
It could be construed
So,
really loosely to mean other things that it's not intended to mean.
but drag queens, oh, such a problem.
Total problem.
Such a problem.
And lewd as they get.
Lewdness. So lewd.
Oh God. Are you watching the Super Bowl tomorrow?
No. We actually got a text from Dave's mom that was like, "What are you guys doing for the Super Bowl?"
Oh.
And we were both just like
Going
nothing.
to dim sum.
Yeah.
What else?
No, we're not. Sorry if you were looking for something.
Oh.
We're sorry, but we're not doing anything.
Oh,
So,
Kathy.
I know.
Well, if you were gonna watch it,
Mm-hmm.
you would see Taylor Swift.
Of course, probably so many cutaway shots
Yeah.
to Taylor Swift.
You would see a lot of prayers too.
Uh-oh.
These quarterbacks, it's like they just pray all the goddamn time on the field.
Well, how else?
How else will
are
they
you-
win? So this, okay. Yeah. So it's like this battle of like who God loves more tomorrow. It's a battle for the NFL title,
Sure.
championship title, but it's
Right.
also a battle of like prove which one do you like better?
Yeah.
So
I wonder who it'll be.
I wonder who it'll be, and like how shitty for the team that loses.
God doesn't like them.
I know.
Is there a different? Are they both like evangelicals, or is one like?
They both got like, I guess this Patrick Mahomes. I didn't know he was so Jesus-y, but this explains why my mom loves him. She calls him her fourth son.
Oh, jeez.
She's in love with him, and but apparently he's got like a tattoo that's on his leg now that's a biblical
Yeah.
reference. And so the quarterback for the 49ers, he last week, or the week that got them in, that they won the game that got them to the Super Bowl, he got really like Jesus preachy at the end, like God did this, and like we wouldn't have done it without God on our side.
Wow. All right.
And these guys don't give themselves enough credit for all the goddamn practice that they put in all year. Like you did it because that's what happens when you practice over and over. You get really good at stuff.
Well, this is the teenager with the cancer treatment all over again, right?
It is.
Like, why can't it be both?
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Why can't it be that you just like that
You
God
worked really hard and
God
you did this.
helped you work really hard?
Yeah.
That would be, I guess,
God
okay.
gave you a skill and you developed it.
Yeah, but that's not.
No.
I mean, maybe that's kind of how they see it. It's not exactly the same but like you know that like that catch, that impossible catch that somebody makes and doesn't like fumble the ball or whatever, right?
That it's saying football words.
I know. It's amazing. That they that maybe like God made the ball a little extra sticky for them or something, right? Like like I don't like, you know, that there's that belief in there, that there's the magical, like the throw that just like went 10 feet further than it would have, right?
Yeah, the
or
wind picked
2
up.
feet further.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wind picked up right at the right time.
So yeah, it's just God. He's helping these guys. So anyway, you're gonna see a lot of that because these both of these quarterbacks are way into praying on the field.
On the field.
That's the thing. It's not
they
just
make
like
a
they're
rule?
thanking God. They make rules about all sorts of other like demonstrations that you can't do on the football field.
Oh,
You can't like mime violence as like like your celebratory. Do you know what I mean? Like when they get the touchdown and they like celebrate. And
what were they doing that they had to make that rule?
I don't know, hanging each other. I don't know. Have you seen that Key and Peele sketch where they like just go these ridiculous like end zone pantomime, like they're acting out full scenes. Anyway, it's really funny. But so yeah, you're gonna see prayers, and then you're also, guess what's back this year?
What's that?
The He Gets Us commercials.
Oh God.
If you recall from last year, He Gets Us is its own like organization. And they put Jesus on the Super Bowl. They paid millions of dollars for their Super Bowl ad to just have it be like, and Jesus He Gets Us. And like the NFL is all behind this. The NFL is partnering with He Gets Us to like give out dinners and stuff to homeless people, which I'm fine with. But like, why the NFL can just do that on their own?
Right?
They have enough money and manpower to.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, that's a good thing that's happening, I guess.
it's good, but they could also just do it on their own.
Giving out Bibles at everyone who attends or something.
Ugh. Well, so just be prepared for that.
Well, fortunately, I don't have to be prepared because I'm not going to watch.
Yeah, I gotta get prepared.
I'm one of those. Oh yeah.
I'm gonna go to a crazy loud kids Super Bowl party with lots of kids
and people yelling about.
Yeah.
Yelling.
But everyone that's going is going to be atheist, except my mom.
Really?
She'll be there.
Oh wow.
She has to put up with so much from me and my brothers.
Okay.
We're mean about religion.
She's the only one.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it'll be fun.
Boy, your family has really.
We've evolved.
That's so crazy. Mm. All right. That's amazing. All right. Well, if you would like to write in and let us know what you think about anything that we've said so far on the show today, please send us an email. The email address is podcast@thankgodimatheist.com, or you can call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. There's more show coming up. Well, all right, Rachel. This is the point in the show where we listen to a little clip. Typically, Dan finds these, but I found one that I like. This is Andrew Womack, who is kind of this like televangelist guy. He started like a little Bible college. I don't know how big it is, but apparently. That's on his Wikipedia page. You know, he's just one of these like conservative religious guys with a camera and a microphone. And this is what he has to say in response to someone calling in with a question. And you'll hear the question and then his beautiful, beautiful response.
How can we use your declaration of our dependence on God as our declaration of independence and use the Bible as a constitution and have I don't know what you'd want to call it, a grace revolution, but a new, do it again.
You know, Molly, I don't believe we need to come up with a new constitution. The one we have is fine. The problem is people aren't following it. Our Constitution, I mean, if you were to put it into biblical terms, if they were still writing the Bible today, I believe that the American Constitution and the founding of this nation would be in Scripture as one of the great things that God has done. So there's nothing wrong with our Constitution. It's the fact that we aren't following it. And, you know, I've dealt with this before. I've actually told people that if Trump gets back in, there are people that are saying that they will physically fight. We've seen riots in the streets, you know, back during the 2020 and the George Floyd and riots and all these things. And I've actually had people say that if Trump was to be elected, if we got a conservative Congress, that they fear that we would have another civil war. And you know what? I don't want a civil war. I don't know anybody that does. But would it be worth it to turn this nation back? I believe it would.
That's alarming.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would be worth it. The Civil War would be worth it.
It would be worth it. And that's what we're going to talk about here in just a minute. We're kind of a little teaser there. But there's some other stuff in there to unpack. His whole sense that the Constitution, right? If the Bible were written today, that the Constitution would be in the Bible.
Mm-hmm. He's right. It would. It probably would.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're totally right. But what a horrifying thought.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah. Well, it's kind of kind of crazy stuff. Did anything stick out to you in the whole thing?
Why aren't we still writing the Bible today? Like, when did we just decide as humans to stop writing the Bible? Like, we're done. The text is finished.
I mean, for the Old Testament, the Bronze Age ended. And for and then the story of Jesus was kind of over. And so that's
nothing left to tell.
Nothing left. No, nothing more to see here.
Okay.
But it didn't stop people from writing holy texts,
Right.
you know. How
Like, why is it not
6,
still
7,
just-
800 years later, whatever it was,
Yeah.
Muhammad comes along.
Yeah.
And writes the Quran, right? And then let 1,200 years pass, and Joseph Smith writes the Book of Mormon. And I'm skipping over, I'm sure, tons of them, tons of examples of people,
Of religious text.
needing to write more. And I mean, the great thing about the Book of Mormon is it's purported to be like from, 600 BC to like a couple hundred AD, right? Sort of spans all that time with all these various different writers and whatnot. And then, of course, Mormons have the Doctrine and Covenants, which is modern revelation.
Right.
And
Put it in there. Get it. Let's make the Bible.
Yeah.
Get it in the Bible.
Get in the Bible.
Anyway, so the Civil War.
Yeah,
Sorry, back to the Civil War.
We'll get back to the Civil War. I think we can let that hang in the air just for a minute. We have a couple voicemails that I'd like to play, and that we can respond to. This is a caller by the name of Dave, and he is following up on last week. We talked about a former CVS employee, or maybe it was employees. They're suing over CVS's revocation. They revoked their religious exemption that allowed employees to not hand out like birth control and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so Dave is calling in. He's chiming in with some other ones that he's come across.
Hey, Frank and Ann, this is Dave in Germany. There is other instances where people use their religion to not do their job, and there was a couple people that got hired on the airlines, and they refused to serve drinks because of their religion. I believe they were Muslim, and then they made the other attendants work harder for that. And then there were somebody that was delivering alcohol by truck, and they refused to do that. And I think the courts for the airlines, they ruled in favor of the flight attendants that they didn't have to do their job, which shocked me. And I don't recall how the one for the trucks worked out. But anyway, talk to you later.
Thanks for the call, Dave. I think the if I was Muslim, what I would do is I would go get a job at a bar
And just
and
collect
then
a paycheck. Just sit.
It's like the perfect
Yes.
Oh no, I'm so sorry, I can't serve alcohol.
I cannot. I can't do any of my job today. That's a good idea.
I could cut lemons and limes.
Yeah.
Oh wait, you're gonna put them in drinks? No, I can't. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I guess I could fold some napkins.
You could clean the toilets. Ew.
Ew.
Maybe you don't want that
Maybe
job.
you don't want that job. Yeah.
Bar toilet. I think it should be a constitutional right to have your alcohol fucking served to you on an airplane, because it's such a goddamn miserable experience anyway, that if a flight attendant refused to serve me alcohol, I would come unglued. I would be one of those people that go viral on the internet losing their shit. They would have to emergency land in Denver or something.
Because Rachel didn't get her gin and tonic.
Because the Muslims won't give me alcohol.
That's amazing.
But the delivery truck, that's funny, because he is essentially doing what you're saying. Like,
well, especially
if you're a truck driver,
yeah,
and you just go,
you just
I'm
have to
not
take your
doing
cargo.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm a truck driver for Budweiser,
Oh, that's
and I don't have to do any of it. And you can't fire me for my religion.
right. So I don't know. This is really good for me.
Yeah.
I know it's kind of a burden on you guys, but it works great for me. All right. And then this is a caller by the name of Jim. And he's bringing up something about Bible class at a school.
Hi, this is Jim in Southern Ohio. I just received a message from a former colleague who teaches at a secondary school, and he teaches government. And today they were covering some aspect of the Constitution, and they had kids that couldn't make it to class because they scheduled it. The class overlaps with some of the lunch periods. There's a staggered lunch time. But some of the kids decided to go to Bible study. They actually allow a Bible study in the school during the staggered lunch period. So even though the kid was supposed to go back to class after his lunch, he decided, or several of them, I think, decided to go to Bible study. And there's not a thing that will be done about it because of the makeup of the administration at the school. I really wish somebody would put a bee in some kid's bonnet, some troublemaker type kid, say, you ought to start a Church of Satan group at school. I wonder if that would fly. I doubt it, but at any rate, enjoy the show and wish you all the best.
Thanks, Jim. I think that's a great idea.
I think it's brilliant.
That's always a good solution.
Let them
right?
handle what they've got themselves into.
Yeah.
When the kids just want to stop going to class
Yeah.
and start worshiping Satan.
Yeah.
During class hours.
I think it's always the best solution is to get the Satanic Temple involved in these kind of things because they're brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant.
They are.
And they have like curriculum that they can provide and it's good stuff.
Workbooks and yeah.
But what bullshit, right? To like because like here in Utah, they at least have the pretense of like you
are going to go to this seminary
and
class
it's in a different building that's adjacent. It's church owned, Mormon church owned building next to the high school. And you can take like a free period. Isn't that how it works?
Yeah. Like you're not missing another class.
Right.
You're just taking it in addition to all your other classes.
Right. But what the schools are doing is they're allowing you to take one fewer classes than you would otherwise be taking, which is problematic.
Yeah.
Like that's, I don't think that should be allowed, but whatever. It's not going away here in Utah. But that's the workaround they have here is it's just next door. Mm-hmm. Well, all right. We have some people to thank, some new donors. I will say this: if you signed up this week on PayPal as a donor, I don't really see that stuff. That's a Dan thing. So he's not here. We'll get to thanking you and acknowledging your support next week. But we do have some new supporters on Patreon. And let's see, we have a new teacher by the name of Katie. Thank you so much. We have another new teacher by the name of Wally. And here's something we don't do. And I just realized it's something that we can actually see relatively easily. So people in the past who've edited their donation, I'm sorry I didn't thank you at the time. And so retroactively, I'm thanking you for boosting your support of the show. Here's Daniel, who went from being a priest to an elder this week. He edited it up. For those of you who don't know, priests are members of the Aaronic priesthood.
Yeah.
In the Mormon church, and an elder would be in the Melchizedek priesthood, which is a step up.
Is it the highest order of priesthood?
The Melchizedek?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But then there's offices. There's like, you have your elder and your high priest. There used to be 70s, but they kind of went away from that.
Okay.
But yeah, you have to have the Melchizedek priesthood to
anoint.
Yeah, actually, I think you're right. All right. So thank you to everybody who signed up and who continues to support the show. We do appreciate it so much. And if you'd like to join them, you can go to our website, which is thankgodimatheist.com, and click on the support tab. And then there's options for you. And as always, we have our top donor to thank, our Lord and Savior, Davis.
Davis.
Woohoo! All right, there's more show coming up, guys. All right. Rachel, we promised that we would talk about these fears of civil war.
Oh, right.
In America. It's a fear I feel.
I have felt it coming on for a while.
It's a little strange. I can't fully let myself, I don't fully go full crazy on the topic. Like I'm doubtful that things will devolve entirely into civil war.
Sure. Mainly
because, like, you know, as we talked about on the show last week and the week before, these crazies, these alt-right religious crazies can't even like figure out how to get a convoy to go down to the border to protest immigration to work and to so like January 6th with the storming of the Capitol, that seems to be their high point at this point. And it really, I mean, it was bad, but if they'd been better organized, it could have been really bad.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, they could have actually made that thing really awful.
Yeah.
If they had shown some initiative.
People, Mike Pence was going to go get hung or something.
Imagine if they'd actually...
If they'd found him, or Nancy Pelosi.
Stumbled upon Nancy Pelosi.
Right?
Holy crap.
Terrifying.
It would have been really fucking awful. So, you know, I don't believe in their organizational skills. And so that leaves me like going, well, I don't know. I think you could see a lot of civil unrest. I see civil unrest coming up.
They have a lot of guns too. So like,
yeah, it could be ugly.
Ugly. It could be pretty bad.
It could be really bad. I shouldn't laugh. I'm sorry for laughing, everyone. It could be really bad. But the thing that kind of stood out to me listening to that audio clip was just the fact that, like, the way that he's telling the story is, well, if Trump wins, there's a lot of people worried
that the other side is going to...
The other side.
The Democrats are going to take up arms. It's
and that I don't see at all.
That's not who's going to get behind a civil war.
No.
Or start one. We don't get our jollies over that notion.
Right. And so they're seeing it. They think we're going to go violent.
Yeah.
And we're
like we did with George Floyd. Like, that, like George Floyd had nothing to do with Donald Trump or MAGA, or it was not a backlash against conservatism. That was something different in and of itself.
Right. And there were a lot of protests.
Yeah.
And there were a few that went a little violent.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I was watching the one here in Salt Lake live on TV as it was happening.
I went to it.
You were there? The one where the cop car got turned over?
Yeah.
Like, that was that's you don't want that kind of stuff to happen, but like that's what happened.
Yeah.
Right. And there was somebody that I remember somebody being like chased down because he had like a machete. A machete, yeah.
Yeah.
And like,
but he wasn't one of the George Floyd protesters.
He was like a counter protester. Yeah. And so the George Floyd protesters kind of took him down. And so, and then there was all the stuff that happened in like Portland, Oregon and whatnot. Yeah. But this isn't civil war.
No.
This is protests that went too far. Got out of hand. And the thing in Portland was pretty messy.
Yeah.
But like, that's not civil war.
No.
And they seem to really have a bad understanding of what these things are. Like, anybody on the right who looks at because they would love to recast the insurrection at the Capitol as a protest
that went
wrong.
Right.
And I don't see that. Like a protest from leftists in America right now, right, in sort of our current climate, I just can't see anything going that direction.
No.
Right? Like it just wouldn't go. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It's hard to speculate on such things, but it just doesn't feel the direction that we're going.
I would consider myself pretty, like, I'm not a member of Antifa or whatever, but like as far as liberals go, I'm on the far end of like, yeah, we need to fucking fight back.
Right.
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 And I would never be like, let's go get Trump and murder him.
Right.
Like that's just not something that even the really leftists do.
No, we were sitting at home watching the footage of him breathing heavily, sick with COVID, and going, why can't he just fucking die?
I know. Get him out of here. Like, why?
That's where my mind was.
Yeah.
Was, how does this guy not fucking die?
Right. Yeah, let him go in a way that like no one has to be responsible for.
Right. Yeah, but while I'm having that sort of sick fantasy, I never, ever, ever would I like actually advocate for going out and
someone doing something
like
that.
Of course not. No, I mean it's a weird thing. It's a weird time. I think it says something about our society that's a little terrifying, that we all that we think that the other side is so willing to take up arms against us.
Yeah.
Right? And one side I think is a little bit more justified in that concern than the other. Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So how do you see, like, if a civil war were, this is what I think about a lot when I'm thinking about like this concept of like the political civil war. How does it play out?
It's got, so I think I would look back to like the Civil War, the first one, the one.
Yeah.
Not the first one, the one.
Yeah.
I think first of all, you need a leader. You need a cause that is like clear, right? Even if it's a fake cause. It
can't just be this jumbled group of ideas of like, we hate the liberals.
Yeah, it can't just be that. And I think you need an actual, like, you need a part of the country to be like, yeah, we're
taking it.
We're getting out of here. Right. Like you would need a state.
Yeah.
To a governor, I think, right?
Well, we've got those.
Who's just like, yeah, we're done with you. Right.
I feel like that's not a far stretch.
But then you'd have to have the rest of the country go. And this is the part that I don't see, right? I don't see us fighting to get Texas back.
I don't either. I think
we would just be like, bye.
If some of those southern states, Florida or Texas, was just like, we're like, had the leader that you're saying, and it's like, now everyone join forces and we're going to take the South. I think we would just go like, well, okay.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Like if there was a way for the first Civil War to not have been a humanitarian disaster. Right. Like we never should have fought for the to keep them.
No kidding. No kidding. Like they should. Yeah, were it not for slavery.
You're right. Yeah.
And the goal of ending that. Yeah, they should have just been allowed to go fucking have their weird economy.
Horrible country.
Yeah.
No, I'm all for like if one of them wanted to go away, I'd be like, yeah, fine, go. And I think I've said this on the show. I think you should let them have the name.
The United States?
Yeah, let them have it.
Okay.
Let them be. Yeah.
America.
We won.
Let them be America.
Let them be America. Yeah.
And then we'll be the U.S.
No, like obviously you can't do that. But anyway, all right, guys, that's just our silly little conversation. Yeah. If you'd like to join in, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Are you worried about civil war in America right now? Are you worried about like What happens if Donald, like, because the thing that we didn't really talk about is there are some potential flashpoints coming up, right, involving Donald Trump.
1,000%.
Right.
It's terrifying.
And these are obviously the things that would be on our mind. If one of these court cases actually ends up holding him responsible, what will his
or God forbid he
crazy
lose
followers
another election and they can't handle it.
right? Or and it is an interesting question. What happens if he wins?
Yeah, I don't
Right?
go there yet. I can't go there.
Because there's weird things that could end up happening there. Who knows how that plays out and what Flashpoint could be after that.
Yeah.
And so, like, there's things to be concerned about. It feels weird to be talking about it, right?
Yeah.
It feels really weird. And I bet it feels weird to be hearing it talked about so much. Well, I know I find it weird to hear people talking about it. So it's, strange times that we live in. And we'd love to hear from you and hear your thoughts. If you think we're overreacting, if we're not reacting enough, if you think we're downplaying it too much, maybe, please give us a call. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. You can record us a voicemail message and potentially we'll play it on the show. You can also email us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com. Is where you can send that. And if you'd like to join one of our members-only lounges, you can do so by going to our website and keep the conversation going there. thankgodimatheist.com/members-only. And if you would like to support the show, of course, you can go to our website as well and find the support tab. And we would love and welcome your support. Dan will be back, like I said, next week. Rachel, thanks so much for being here.
Me.
Sitting in. It was a lot of fun. And thanks so much for listening, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.